Welcome, everyone. My name is Kristen Miller-Zone, and I'm Executive Director of Costume Society of America. We thank you for joining today's edition of our As Seen at Symposium series, a conversation with Howard Vincent Kurtz Emerging Theater Artist Award winner, Elaine Yuen. Please allow me to introduce our host for today, the Kurtz Award Committee Chair, Ali Amadei, who is a costume designer, playwright, and an assistant professor of design at UW-Madison. Her creative research focuses on designing for new works, costumes and gaming, and adaptive costuming for people with disabilities. I will turn it over to Ali to introduce our guests for this evening.
My name is Ali Amadei, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. And I'm going to read the bio for our first panelist, Howard Vincent Kurtz. Howard Vincent Kurtz has an extensive and diversified career in costumes, which has involved professional design, academic teaching, and work as a fashion historian. He is Professor Emeritus of Theater at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, where he served as the resident costume designer and chair of the Design and Tech program for 25 years. He is a member of the United Scenic Artists Local 829 Costume Division and has designed costumes at regional local theaters in Washington, D.C., and many other theaters on the East Coast. In addition to his academic and professional career, Howard was the associate curator of costumes and textiles at the Hillwood Museum and Gardens in Washington, D.C., the former residence of American socialite Marjorie Merriweather Post. Howard has served Costume Society of America as president of the Mid-Atlantic region, on the executive board as the national treasurer, and is currently a CSA fellow. And next, let me introduce Elaine Yuen. Elaine is currently a doctoral student in communication and information at Kent State University, with a concentration on cultural heritage informatics. Her research focuses on cross-cultural fashion by looking into the historic cultures of East and West, connecting and applying innovative design with advanced technologies. Elaine graduated with her dual degree at Kent State with an MFA of Theater Studies, concentrating in costume design, and a Master of Fashion Industry Studies. Elaine was born and raised in British Hong Kong, a global city where Eastern and Western cultures merge. From an early age, she was embraced by the spreading of culture and growth of technologies in Japan, which is geographically next to Hong Kong. She studied and worked as a fashion designer with Japanese culture surrounded through various types of designs and communication with Japanese customers in the fashion industry. Her interest in traditional Japanese aesthetics, specifically in fashion styling, developed under this background. Elaine's goal is to work as an educator who can broaden her students' sights, inspire their innovation talents, and guide them for growth with her background and knowledge. And so thank you both for being here. Just so you can know how it's going to run today, for today's webinar, we're going to start with Elaine's wonderful presentation of her Kurtz Award-winning research project, which was presented this summer at the Costume Society of America Symposium. Then we'll have some time for questions. And then we'll discuss how you can encourage your students, or you yourself can apply for the award. So now I want to hand it over to Elaine.
Good evening, everyone. It is my honor to be awarded the CSA Howard Vincent Kurtz Emerging Theater Artist Award, and thanks to the Costume Society of America for giving me this opportunity to present my project here in this webinar. The project that I present today is a creative scholarship aimed to find out the possibility of a recreation of bustle dress from textile to final garment based on knitwear construction. This project actually includes two phases, which are the cultural research and the practical experiment on the digital knitting machine. The hypothesis of this study focused on the time cost reduction in combining the works of weaver, draper, or tailor during the recreation of costume for theatrical production by the use of advanced knitting technology. In the cultural research, it reveals the evolution and relationship between kimono, the traditional Japanese culture, and the bustle dress during the Meiji era through the ukiyo-e block painting. While in the practical experiment, I'm using my finding in the cultural research to design a set of knit bustle dress, and we create them using the digital knitting machine from the fashion school at Kent State University. So the final output for this research is a set of knit bustle dress, including the bodice, a working skirt, the apron, and the bustle. So have you think about why Japanese will switch their dressing style? It happened while the Empress Shokan is as the pioneer who started to wear the Western bustle dress. In this portrait from the late 19th to early 20th century, it shows how she wore not a traditional kimono but a Western bustle dress as an official photo. The ukiyo-e illustration painted by Inoue Yasushi in 1887 depicts the empress, who is dressed in black, enjoying a moment of peace with her family in the palace. The woodblock prints drawn by Yoshi Chikanobu also depict the activities held in the Rokumenkan, which hold events for diplomats from foreign countries. Empress Shokan's adoption and change was advocated by her husband, and she then required all her court ladies to wear Western dresses. She also encouraged the general population to wear Western-style dress by asking domestic Japanese material markets switch their fabrications. I recreate the bustle dress as what the Japanese did to create their own style dresses through the development of traditional motif, colors, and detail. I picked the court lady, who is dressed in blue here, because they are very popular in showing in the woodblock prints, also at the Rockman Crown ear as the character. I adopt the cherry blossom motif, symbolize the new beginning, renewal, and beauty to represent our recreation of the Japanese bustle dress. I apply actually related to the court lady the blue color as my primary color because the blue shows the coolness and loyalty as the court lady to follow the empress enthusiasm for fashion evolution in Japan during the Meiji year. With the help of my cultural research, we can also find the similarity in the connection from the use of color, motif, details, highlights, and layer between the patterns in kimono and bustle dress. For example, here in this two ukiyo-e picture, you can see the hexagon pattern is transforming into similar geometric pattern. The stripe is still happening. Check pattern is transformed to cross pattern. Cherry blossom is also having other form of floral motif in the bustle dress. It shows that although Japanese is switching to wear bustle dress, they actually was developing and keeping their traditional details on those bustle dresses. There are four main parts in my experiment, including the motif and pattern developments, testing process, programming, knitting, and the panel assembling. First of all, I pick the yarn, try the yarn count, and test the number of piles to manipulate the texture of the jacquard. As for a jacquard, the Stow and OnePlus programming allowed me to create motifs manually or import from the Photoshop file. So here what you can see the cherry blossom pattern is I import into the program and manually modify some of the edges. Follow is the most important part, the structure testing. Every motif and knit structure have to be tested with a small pieces to get the calculation of size and overall structure. For example, here in the jacquard, you can see a red square. It's outlined to measure the appropriate knitting tension, gauge, number of yarn should be used, and the desired texture outlook. The test pieces are critical because each of these components affect each other when they are linking together. And it will provide a different outlook, such as this particular parcel knitting section. It has to be tested to ensure the ruffles effect is similar to my design. Once the programs are done, it contains a series of double checking, such as the checking of the direction of the carriage line by line to avoid the mistake of folding yarn in a wrong knitting direction. The program of the Stowe M1 Plus allow us to resolve the patterning to check the actual knitting outcome. So you can see when I program the pointer here, it shows how it will look like in the program checking, which is very helpful for me and efficient to judge the problem before the wheel panel are being knit. Then all the panels are assembling by the linking machine, except the bustle section, it is gathered and pinned manually. So by employing the unique structure of knitwear, this concept can be applied to fit various sizes, providing sustainability of numerous sizing reusing in a costume's life. Costume designers could create their own motif through Photoshop and apply in the program to enhance the flexibility. The structure of knit texture, including the trill relief jacquard, painting, ribs, single jersey, and pointel, which I have used in this experiment, gain a wide range of texture surface in the reflection under the stage lighting. It can enrich the dimensionality of the costume in a theatrical production. Once the program is ready, the bustle dress can be reproduced with the fully fashioned panel that allow a quick and sustainable construction and reproduction of the whole set of bustle dress. This feature especially bring advantage for the ensemble, which requires several similar productions. Moreover, costume designers can base their work on this set of programs to redesign or develop different motifs, such as what I have developed the cherry blossom motif, structuring like the silhouette, like in the waist and also the bustle section. It will help with the help from the digital knitting machine. It will provide several advantages for theatrical reproduction and benefit the time cost, material sustainability, and stage performance. So here what you can see is the whole outlook of my knitted bustle dress compare compared together with ukiyo-e painting in blue color, which is dressed by the court lady in the magic ear. Here are all my presentation. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. I'm excited to see it again. And now we're going to have Howard come on and ask some questions as well.
Again, Elaine, great project. I mean, I'm so happy that you were the winner of this project. But I want to ask you, since you won the award, has anything changed? Anything been different for you? That was, 6 months ago. Has helped you with winning this award?
Yeah, I think the having winning the award is an exciting thing. Firstly, it is a recognition of my work and my research direction. Also, attending the National Symposium in person also broadened my view on different scholars' research focus and inspire and motivates me to work harder in the future to contribute to the field. Also sharing my work and here in the webinar and also the National Symposium is really an exciting thing, which I also get some innovative comments and encourage from encouraged from the community in the Costume Society of America, which is very meaningful for me. It did really shape a little bit of my research by meeting Mr. Howard in person, knowing about his curation experience really strengthen and widen my research interests because I am having my PhD in cultural heritage informatics. I'm also looking at how the museum is connected to the students and how it can enrich students' knowledge. And so while learning about all the collaboration and all crossover within the museum and also the costume and also the student is kind of like a golden triangle for me to move forward for my dissertation.
Oh,
Sorry.
that's great. I mean, again, that was one of the reasons why the award was set up. And like again, you're fulfilling everything that the award was set up to be. I have a question for you, Elaine. Why did you apply for the award?
So I was notified about the award from my advisor, Dr. Leslie. And when I applied for the award, I just graduated with my dual degree at Kent State. And I want to challenge myself by submitting this creative scholarship based on a combination of learning learning from my MFA costume design and the master in fashion industry studies. And I'm actually because I'm starting my learning costume since 2017. I'm really new to the industry, and so I need to find a unique way for myself. Coming with a fashion background, how I should move forward to contribute to the industry as an educator. So the combination of the research, the cultural research, the fashion-based technology, and the costume consideration is my research focus after my graduation, which I would like to get some recognition. So that's why also I see this opportunity, as I mentioned, as the COM exam for me. That's why I apply for this meaningful award.
Oh, and again, I am just so glad you did. I'm so proud of you. It's great. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Elaine. Thank you for
Thank you
being
so
a part
much.
of CSA. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here and yeah.
Okay, tell everybody to come and join us. Thanks. So I'm going to turn this over to Allie here for other questions.
Yeah, I have a question for you. It's and you may not know this. I'm just curious. So, following the opening of Japan's borders after Sakoku ended, right? So, do you know if Japanese women were using European dressmakers, or did Japanese artisans learn how to make the Western dress?
Um, I think like Japanese like from my viewpoint because they need to have their own motive. They are creating their own fabrications.
Mhm.
So when they transform the motif patterns and their traditional techniques into a bustle dress, they may want to also make their own. Like while in the ukiyo-e pictures, I can see like the Japanese ladies, they are sewing by themselves
Mhm.
instead
Mhm.
of um, like seeking some help from European tailors. I think they are also want to like the Empress Soken want the whole industry switch a little bit to the like not a little bit. It's quite a lot. Switch to the bustle dress. That's why the whole industry need to transform a little bit, but they keep their traditional on based on the motive, the technique they are using. I think they are still using some of the printing technique, like the indigo dye. They will still keep on using that, but the silhouette, the outlook of the dress is really different. Become a bustle bustle dress, but they still keep their traditional in that way.
Hmm. I have not done. I mean, I have been. People might not know, but I've been working my way slowly through a Japanese degree, and so I do some studying of Japanese culture, and I think it'd be what I never considered how you might bring those Japanese fabrics, which are like the fabric made for kimonos, traditionally much more narrow than what we'd use, what other what we'd see in the store right now. So I'm curious to see how it would be to take kimono fabric and try to make a bustle dress out of that. How having to piece that together, it's an interesting challenge to
Yes,
think
that's
about.
that's a very good point, Ali. Thank you for pointing that out. I think I visit actually one textile museum in Japan. They actually import some jacquard weaving machine, which it's not only like the weave like a kimono. I think after the Meiji year, they are not bringing tailor from Europe. They are actually bringing in the technology. They are
Mhm.
bringing in the weaving technology machines that they can produce
Do
the
the
fabric
wire.
wide, with wider width.
Cool. That's interesting. I'll have to do
Yeah,
some more looking in.
if you have chance to visit Japan, it's very worth to go there. And then I think the staff there they are letting you try every different kind of weaving machine.
Cool.
But the machine is not very narrow. One of the biggest one can sit three people all together.
Hmm.
And then they mentioned that is production for export to America.
Hmm. Wow. I have another question here that is the knit bustle ensemble easier for costume changes than a traditional bustle dress?
Yeah, I think like the need structure. Firstly, it have the elasticity, so it can be changed easily. And then for the skirt part, it's just by hook and eyes, and also like the waist, it's drawstring, so it can change easily for ensemble or any quick change.
I suppose that makes it more flexible for different sizes since we're using costumes all the time in theater for many years too. So interesting. Where's your work going next? What kind of upcoming work are you doing, or how are you building on this project?
So with a follow up on this project, I hope I can have more time. Time always limit. So my like follow up direction for the need construction, I'm thinking about a corset because corset is very like unnecessary things in costume. But while in knit construction, it can actually fulfill the fully fashion silhouette, and also it have the tubular construction, allow the construction to be stiffened while you make a corset, and it has also some point out when you see the fair pattern on my knitted bustle dress that could be create some point out. It allowed the host to have a lace um, tying up. So I think to follow up with the knitted bustle dress, my next goal could be for move forward for a corset production.
That sounds cool. I guess if Howard wants to come back on, I have questions for both of you, just in general, about where do you think. I have a question here about what are some notable trends and challenges that you see in our field?
Mm. I'm going to let that up to Elaine. That's why I gave this award because I'm not in that area anymore. I'm really watching the others in CSA, you know, that are emerging artists really start to do their research. I'm looking to them for the answers. So Elaine, it's all yours.
Okay, I think like notable trend is very much based on technology because we have the technique on constructing costume for a long time. Now we can really well use different kind of technology to help us to be more sustainable and also be more less time causing because theatrical production is always having a short limit of time to prepare. Well, we can really well use the technology to help in to support in this part. And I also think for the challenge, I will, as an Asian, I will feel that's a little bit challenge for when I see some production relate to Asian or like when I have some communication with new young undergrad students, they will always mix up around the culture within Asia. For example, they will mix up Japan and China, or they also think that is Korea, like South Korea. So that's a challenge for the new generation. They should know more. Although it's in the Eastern country, they should be available to recognize them nowadays because now we are more like in a global community.
Yeah, that's I agree with that. I refer to it as cultural competency in my design classes, is making, telling people you can't make those mistakes now. You have to do that homework to make sure you're aware of what you're putting on stage and what you're putting in, making sure you've done your homework, right? And representing cultures appropriately. And
Mhm.
I totally agree with the technology as well angle. I mean, there's for the sustainability factor, there's so much waste in our industry in terms of theater, less with costumes and more with the scenic elements, but for sure with costumes as well too. And there are things we can do to improve that, and some of it is can be aided by technology. Like now that, I mean, I was just meeting with someone, we were talking about trying to do 3D, how we could use 3D body scans to improve fit or create new ways to innovate clothing for people with disabilities and things is one of the things we were working on. And I know there's people who are using the Clo 3D, which is a pattern making software for fashion design now in theater as well, to skip the one part of the fitting process. Like the initial mock-ups might happen in Clo 3D as opposed to on
Mhm.
a actor, which was helpful also for COVID and for exposure. But also it's making it faster and eliminating waste too. So that's it's pretty interesting, but not everybody has access to that yet. So as it gets more we have more access and it becomes less expensive, then that's definitely where we're heading. um, as well as I mean, I'm doing work with virtual reality as well, like so like doing costumes for not even real people. So
Wow.
where things are going too. um, Great. Well, I would love to talk a little bit about the award now. Howard, can you tell us a little bit more about why you started this award?
I had left George Mason and I still wanted to impact students' lives. And it was a long conversation really with other members in CSA. And I'll give a shout out because I see our Lissa is here. Mary Gibson helped. Deborah Brothers, I just sort of talked to them and said, hey, how can we I didn't say hey, I said, how can we um, help the students? And I'd like to put an award together. And so it was a lot of, sort of back and forth and deciding the name and how it would be. And I just wanted something that would encourage, and to show, acknowledgement to these young, up and coming, designers here. So I wanted that outreach there. I know CSA has a lot of awards that seems that they're for established people who have a long career, but I wanted someone, to take the award that was emerging. And again, I'm just very happy with the first, awardee, Elaine, to do this because her goals meet the goals that I had 30, 40 years ago when I was young. Elaine, I was your age at one time. It was a long time ago, but I was your age at one time. And my hope was to become a teacher and to encourage students. And so sort of my hope sort of happened very quickly when this award was set up. So that's the answer.
Great. Well, great. I would love to share some more direct information with everyone about how to apply for the award. The deadline is coming up. It's December 15th. And I put the link in the chat to apply, but you can get to it by going to the CSA website. To be eligible for the award, you must be a current undergraduate or graduate student. You need to be a CSA member prior to the submission date. And your work either needs to be completed or in process prior to submission. And then to apply, you need to have an abstract of no more than 350 words describing your personal artistic statement and the inspiration and challenges of the creative work. There's a limit of 8 clearly labeled images, giving a visual overview of the creative work with an additional 4 images can also be submitted. So maximum of 12 images total. And they should be submitted together in one PDF, and the PDF has a size limit of 25 megabytes. You also need to submit a resume in PDF format and 2 letters of recommendation from faculty advisors or mentors in your student's academic program or professional arena. These could be like a design instructor, an instructor or supervisor in a shop or studio, history professor, department chair, mentor, etc. If you have any questions, you can email me at aramidei@wisc.edu. And I would just hope that you encourage students to apply or apply yourself. And then I will pass it over to Kristen.
We'd like to thank Howard, Elaine, and Allie for this conversation and for all their wonderful work for our field. And we thank you all for attending.